The update for Monday. We only have a day in between to go before the 25th of December 2024, a day that most of the people, Christians in their numbers, will be celebrating Christmas Day. Tomorrow, the eve, will be a hive of activities, we believe, and we hope that you are gearing up for these particular festive celebrations. As you do that, we hope you will be taking care of yourself and your family members, the community, and everyone else that you are interacting with. Well, it is for this reason that this morning we want to talk about road safety and measures that are being taken into account to reduce traffic accidents this holiday, especially that over 1,500 lives have been lost this year alone from January to where we are today. That's an alarming figure. On the show, we are also discussing the continued problem of cybersecurity and the threats that are posed to the general public with the advent of artificial intelligence, AI. Will the situation of frauds, manipulation and fake news get worse or better, especially as we look forward to next year? In the meantime, Professor Lukumba Piri has already joined me. Prof, good to see you.
Yeah, thank you for hosting me, and compliments of the season to the viewers and to the people in around the studio.
Great.
Thank you.
AI, who is doing what?
Yeah, so artificial intelligence is a buzzword, I would say, but it's a branch of computer science that has been in existence for a long time. Okay, the technology we're talking about now, like the neural networks, were designed or sort of conceptualized in the 1940s, okay? And the term AI was coined somewhere in the 1950s by the father of artificial intelligence, who is Alan Turing, okay? So the concept of AI has just popped up because of the branch of computer science that has gained populace now, which is called large language modeling, which is as a result of ChatGPT and other branches of computer science. So
with the advent of AI,
yeah,
the fears are that we don't know who is doing what, and hence could actually, exacerbate the problem of, hackers and fraudsters and things like that.
Yeah, to a large extent, the rate at which technology is advancing is quite high, and the only sad part is that the adoption of those technologies on the Zambian landscape is not equivalent to the rate at which the technology is advancing. Okay, where we are now in terms of combating cybersecurity, it's a challenge for us locally because the cyber actors are advanced in terms of technology, the tools that they use to gain access to our systems. But on the other hand, for us to defend ourselves, we need eco measure, eco tools, okay, of which at the moment we don't have tools available to fight the cyber crimes punch for punch. Okay. Are
humans smart enough? Because the fear is that AI will outsmart humans. And so if we encounter such problems of cybersecurity, we may not be able to reverse.
No, you see, AI, I would say it's a product of thinking of a man, okay? So AI basically is just a combination of algorithms, okay, which is just basically formulas and the data. So a computer is given, is fed some formulas through a program, okay? You are going to write a program and then give this computer information, which we are calling as data, because information is basically processed data. So what you give to a computer is data. And then once you give the computer data, you're also going to give it a program, okay, in form of algorithms, and then tell the computer what to do with the data that you've given it so that it converts into information, okay? So now, what AI does is it do a particular task based on the algorithms that have been written, okay? Unlike man, because man is versatile, okay? You can learn a lot of algorithms as compared to what AI is. I've
been wondering, because I've been watching some of the movies that speak to how complex AI robots are, and expressing the fears that at some point we may not be in control of these and then they pose a threat to humankind. But speaking to you as a professor of engineering, I'm being comforted that we can actually control them since they were man-made, isn't it?
To a large extent, but the current models because there are 4 cognitive abilities that a human being has. Okay, the first one is the learning aspect, the reasoning, and the the creativity and the self-control. Okay, so these are the 4 cognitive abilities that a human being has. So overall, the computer science world has been trying to mimic these cognitive abilities. Okay, so the earlier systems of computers that were discovered, they work on just a principle of loop function. You write a program to a computer and tell it to repeat it over and over, okay? But the models now that we have at the moment, they've got the ability to learn, okay? So meaning slowly they are catching up with the cognitive ability of a human being. So if the computers are able to grasp all these 4 cognitive abilities that I've talked about, then we are going to be at par with the computers, okay? And we've heard in the world where technology has advanced, humans are being kicked out of employment because AI is taking over these simple tasks that human beings are able to do. So to a larger extent, yes, it's not now, but in the future, they pose a greater threat than we can imagine at the moment.
The risk of cybersecurity, does AI play a part in there?
It actually does, okay? Because cybersecurity is quite also a broad aspect, okay? So cybersecurity is premised on 3 pillars, okay? So the first pillar is called confidentiality, and the second is called integrity.
Professor,
okay.
I will have to leave this discussion here, but
right.
hoping that we can further it at some point. That's okay. Professor Lukumba Piri, Technology Engineer, also Vice Chancellor, Information and Communication University. Let's take that for a little bit.
Yes,
your fears of AI and the dangers it poses.
Okay, fine. AI has a lot of, I think, misconceptions that people I think are worried about. The biggest of them is replacement of human workforce, and I think that's the biggest fear that everyone I think has, because it's able to automate a lot of things that humans are able to do, including journalism itself, reporting, doctors in the wards, fighting wars, even just a lot of translating simple litigation cases. I think it's able to do that. I think it's able to do that. And also the other dangers, I think I have myself is lack of data. For a country like Zambia, lack of data is the biggest problem we have, because we are not able to teach AI our own stories, because AI is a learning language. It's a learning model. It learns what you feed it with. So if you don't teach it correct stuff, it won't give you the correct responses. So the problem we have in this country is that we don't have data sets that we can comfortably write on to say AI is going to give us the rightful responses when we ask it questions pertaining to our country as Zambia.
From what you're explaining, there shouldn't be such fears as losing jobs.
No.
Really, because, I mean, AI needs constant feeding.
Exactly.
And the person that feeds it is a human being.
It's a human being, yes. So AI is simply a simulation of human mind. So it simply imitates what you do. It's able to make decisions and do the things that you do based on what you tell it to do. So if you don't teach it what to do, it won't do anything. So it will not work on its own without you prompting it to do by feeding with data. So the issues of it scaring people shouldn't be, I think a big issue. Let's be positive about it. AI is going to improve innovation, okay? Innovation and creativity. It's able to, I think a lot of those that have managed to really grab it by the horns, they're able to make leverage out of it and make, do a lot of things using AI.
It kind of poses again a question to say, who is doing what when I'm on the computer, for example, and asking for things, and then answers are just coming? If
yes.
I'm to do some works, I'm doing work. Who is doing what? Because you could be in university and you are given an assignment.
Yes.
The lecturer, professor can attest, because he's vice chancellor, I'm sure there are such fears in universities. Who is responding to this question that the lecturer has posed to the classroom?
So the one who responds to the question in AI is not, in fact, it's the data that AI was fed into first. That's what it is going to get the answers to give you when you ask it questions, yes. So education, I think, is global integrated. So questions that I think are social in nature will not really have problems in giving you answers. But if you're going to ask AI something that is I think maybe just a country contextualized, it will be difficult to get responses. But in terms of education, it gives you answers based on what it's been fed already by the data sets that have been already created and fed into the AI models. In East Africa and other countries, they have digital literacy hubs where they teach AI information like local-based stories about a particular country, feed it into the AI models, and then it builds responses and context of each country. And when you go to find out something in AI, it's going to give you responses based on what someone said on a computer and fed it with. That's basically how it is. So the responses we get from AI are based on what humans feed it with. So even like you take an assignment from school and they want to get answers from it, will give you the correct answers. Yes. But also you need to also have a basis. The response must be also tailored to what you understand, because if you're going to just depend on what you have to give you, AI is able to give you wrong answers as well.
Let me go to Professor. Yeah. The education sector should be worried, Professor, isn't it? Because if you give me a question, I'm at your university, I should be able to respond as me, not with the aid of AI. How will you be knowing? I know there are certain technologies that have come into being again that are able to censor material to say that this is not your own information. But it's going to be challenging, isn't it?
Yeah.
And therefore, to graduate a graduate that is fully backed by your institution becomes questionable.
Yeah. At the moment, this has been a challenge. I think around the institutions that I lecture at the moment we are producing relatively a higher number of students that are not creative per se, because I usually tell my students that AI is just a tool, okay? And a tool will never replace the person who is supposed to use it. A tool is basically designed to help man become efficient, okay? Not basically to replace man, okay? You cannot tell a calculator to work, okay, do the work on your behalf, okay? So students, what they're supposed to do is a tool for learning, okay? They can use it to reference, but not basically move away from the classroom and then let the artificial intelligence machine or algorithms learn on their behalf. And then on my part, what I do is, because like my colleague had mentioned, AI basically works on the data that has been fed to it. It's trained with data, okay? So if the rate at which the model is trained is lower than the rate at which we are training our students, the AI is going to be behind. Okay, so what we do for some of us, we create questions each and every semester. Try by all means to create your own questions, because if my solutions are not in the public domain, even the AI is not able to answer. So like much of stuff that I give as assignments, if you put in the AI, it will not give you the answers.
But it will give you ideas.
Yes, that's why I'm saying it's a tool. Okay? So it's a tool that is supposed to help you, because a tool, it's like going to the field. You have a tractor. So long you don't get on the tractor and decide on your behalf how much land you are going to till, the tractor will be with you in the same farm and you won't get the results. It's the same thing. Okay? So for students that are sharp, okay, they'll use that as a tool. I'll give an example for people that learned without calculators, mathematics. I'll give an example in secondary schools. Calculators were introduced in 2002, okay, for those that sat for final exams, okay? Before there were logbooks, okay? So there was a question, how are the learners who are going to use the calculators? I think mathematics would be very easy for them. Even up to now, people are failing mathematics with the advent of calculators, okay? So meaning a tool will never replace the learning process.
Great.
Okay.
How do you trust AI? With Elon Musk and his shenanigans, he's creating a lot of robots. Would you trust a robot do its work? To what extent?
I think I can trust a robot to do my work to the extent where I understand what I want to get out of it.
Would you be comfortable? I'm replaced by a robot. It comes here to present a program.
Not at all, because you see, AI, even a robot doesn't have a soul or feelings. Human beings has feelings. So let's say a doctor is in the surgical ward and want to operate on a human being. There are feelings that are involved and emotions that are involved in working on a human being. AI doesn't have that. If you deploy a robot in the lab, in the surgical ward, and want to operate on a human being, a robot will only do its instructions as instructed by the algorithms fed into it. anything other than that, it won't do, because it doesn't have anything that it can think beyond what's been taught to do. So I wouldn't be comfortable to really trust a robot to do everything else, because I think even like when you go to online platforms, chatbots, I think there's a point where you feel like, I think you're not getting the answers that you want to get out of it, because they've been told what to answer based on what questions to answer. You go to the ZRA chatbot, I think you said that there are points you feel like, I think I didn't get what I wanted to get out of this, because that's why it ends, and it can't go beyond that, whereby for the human being, you can be able to engage and relate, and based on the new trends, you'll be able to be given assistance as and when you need it.
Let's take it back to threats that come with AI and cybersecurity.
Yeah. So with the dawn of AI, cyber criminals, hackers, developers of spyware and others are finding easy ways of developing spyware solutions and viruses and worms and all the other malware that we can talk about. And that means there's, I think we're going to have a rise in the number of different versions and patterns of attack that haven't been common in the recent past before AI became a thing in Zambia. So that I think we've seen quite a few others that have been coming up. Social engineering is among them, which has become a big thing with even these guys who say those I think are some of the very cheap kind of tricks that you can get out there. But I think AI has technical ways of helping developers of tools that are meant to harm you and make easier. You can actually build a site from AI, simply telling you what you want to do, and it will bring the entire code and put it into a developer, and everything's going to be up and running. That's easier. That's how easy AI has made things easier, even for hackers and developers of malware. And also in terms of on the other side of things, also AI itself is also now able to study the threat intelligence, like it studies the kind of the threat, how the threats are developed. So it builds a pattern of how hackers behave on the internet and give you a kind of defense mechanism that's going to be embedded in your system that you are browsing and working with, and be able to protect you from potential hackers that are going to be able to maybe.
It can counter such threats.
It actually counters, yes. So it counters threats, yes. It counters threats because it studies the patterns of attacks that are associated with this particular kind of a system, and be able to devise ways of countering attacks as and when they're supposed to be hitting you. So that's how also AI is also changing the way we do cybersecurity. It has actually, in fact, it's improving cybersecurity. I think in our spaces. So,
Professor, I'm happy you're coming from the education sector as well. Do you think the education sector in the country has already embraced AI and incorporating it into the education system so that we can build an engineer that's equal to the task?
Yeah. So at the moment, I think on the local scene, a lot of institutions have adopted AI. They've putting up policies locally at the local institutions on how to manage AI. So if you are doing research or publishing your research with renowned journals like Elsevier, amongst others, they will tell you there's a portion where they will tell you to declare if at all you had used the AI in developing your research. Okay, so there you declare to say, okay, at this point of my research, I used AI maybe to do data analysis for me, okay, to do the graphs, okay. So the people that will be looking at your work, if they pass your work through an AI detection system, if they find that, like we mentioned, it's a tool, okay, if you declare that I use this tool, okay, to develop the graphs, okay, even the people that are reviewing your work, if they discover that there is actually a tool that was used, then there is no malpractice.
Came out in the
yes, there is no malpractice.
This as having helped me to do this.
Yes. Okay. Then malpractice in that case is not there, because you have declared that you used a particular tool. Okay. So what basically the institutions must learn is, because they say it takes a thief to catch a thief. Okay. So if a thief is more advanced than the person who's trying to catch them, okay, the law enforcement officers, they are not going to catch them. Okay, so if our students are using these tools to help them advance their knowledge, okay, even the service providers who are the learning institutions, the lecturers, must also learn those tools so that we are at par with the students. Then that will be able to tell that this material basically is coming from a student, or this material is coming from a learning model. Okay, so those are the issues. And then the other thing is investment. when you look at Google, okay, Microsoft, and Amazon, because these are the biggest companies that have invested in this technology we're talking about, large language models, okay? They have invested a lot of money. So like the CEO for OpenAI, Sam Altman, he was just giving an update of how much they had invested to upgrade from ChatGPT 3 to ChatGPT 4. They invested over $1 million or over $100 million just to train the model with data.
Great.
Yeah.
With all that, the developments are ongoing. Even as we are speaking right now, there's somebody out there. Meta has changed the game. Elon Musk's Twitter, the so-called X now, is at a different level, the way things are done. What are you telling institutions? Because today all institutions now are operating via computers, smartphones. What are you telling these institutions? A person like myself with access to smartphones, for us to remain cyber secure and to just know that we are in competition, and there's need to be aware because somebody could be playing on your intelligence.
Yeah, I think recently the government of Zambia launched the AI strategy. I think which is a very huge milestone as a country, which now I think is supposed to trickle down to every institution operating in the country to also have a strategy in place, because you can't talk about using anything without a policy in place. So institutions should be encouraged to also deploy policies and strategies for the ethical deployment and use of AI in their organizations by their staff members, and be able to also make declarations in terms of whether the work that you've done in a report or so is AI, assisted. I know that's why at least then I think when we get there, I think we'll be able to get people to really ethically use AI. Because one thing one thing you cannot ignore is that there are AI detectors that I think being deployed in institutions, and there are also AI tools that shouldn't be deployed, because AI tools that we see on the internet, they are simply there are a lot of ones that built by small boys that you don't even if a boy comes in, you can't even believe he's about it. Then there are those serious ones like ChatGPT, there are Twixify, there's a lot of others, Gemini and others that are built by large multinational tech companies that I think we need to really ride and depend on. So even the deployment of AI tools, we need to specify in our policies which tools are going to be allowable in our institution to deploy, to be used by organizations, and which ones not to deploy, so that even as we are using AI in organizations, we also know that this is actually helping our organization to be innovative in this department, be able to craft nice marketing materials, artworks out there, messages that are going to really put the organization's face out there in the limelight, and and also I think just basically promote innovation in organizations. I think that's important. So policies, strategies, I think should be key for every organization that's operating in this era.
John Shinseki there speaking to us, ICT and cybersecurity expert. Professor Lukumba Piri is also a technology engineer, assisting us to understand AI is here to stay. We need to see how we can be able to navigate and work side by side with it, but don't entirely depend on it. As an individual, you need to think as well. Thank you so much, both of you, for coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's take a break. We'll be right back with other matters on the update.